In 2022, we got the Miracle box set. In 2024, we got the Queen 1 box set. And continuing the trend of a release every other year, we've got the Queen 2 box set in 2026. After the pretty horrible marketing and buzz surrounding Queen 1, this release has overall been a bit quieter, with no video material being created or remastered, aside from the very basic slideshow trailers released. Brian was also completely in charge of teasers for this thing as well, recording bits of songs as they were mixing it in the studio, and premiering a new version of Polar Bear on the radio.
It's a very, very ancient song called Polar Bear.
In fact, due to the promotion window of this thing being so short, I think it's only fitting to get straight into the box set with this. First of all, we have the brand new mix of the album. This mix is not nearly as drastic as the difference between the original master and the 2024 mix of Queen 1. As with that project, Brian and Roger wanted to change the sound of the drums, which the band didn't like the sound of. With Queen 2, the band had way more control over what they were recording, and Roger got to use his own kit, so there's much less to change in this new mix. Similar to Queen 1, this new mix feels much wider, and you can hear some little parts that weren't audible before. There's also an echo applied to a majority of the lead vocals that weren't present in the original mix.
I descend upon your earth from the skies. I descend upon your earth from the skies.
You can also hear the bass much more clearly on this mix, whereas with the new mix of Queen 1, it was kind of the opposite, and the bass kind of got buried on some tracks. So it's great to hear Deaky much more front and centre on a lot of moments in here. Finally, there's much less noticeable pitch correction on this new mix than the Queen 1 box set, which is always a good thing when it comes to Queen releases.
Bleeding, one word. Bleeding, one word.
Digging a little deeper into the side white tracks on disc 1. On Father to Son, there's much less reverb, especially on the a cappella bit before the outro. At the start of White Queen, one of the guitar notes is flanged, which gives the song a bit more of a psychedelic feel, I guess. A downside to this mix does show itself on the Needing Unheard bit, where the explosion of guitars and Freddie's vocals feels much softer than the more impactful original mix. Finally, The Loser in the End features a slightly shorter fade out.
Oh, fucking hell.
Moving on to the disc 2 white side tracks, and the best thing about this disc is the studio banter between the band, which we got on previous box set releases, but not to this extent.
You're not hitting it as hard, I don't think.
Now, where is the microphone?
This is such a good intro to the album and really feels like a song that would play during an actual royal procession. With this early version, it seems like they were testing out different drum sounds for the track,
How's it sound?
with the rhythm sounding much more like a heartbeat on there. Aside from that, it seems like they have everything else down, with the guitar pretty much sounding the same as the album version, with maybe a few less guitar layers from Brian. It also shows the beginnings of a transition into White Queen with a different guitar sound from Brian. Father to Son really feels like where the Queen sound is perfected. It's just such a large sounding song with these ambitious layered vocals inspired by The Who and Led Zeppelin. Take 4 of Father to Son starts with Freddie eating something.
Brian, you don't like a different name because we might have to.
And then we get another version of the intro, this time on piano. We then get Freddie giving a lighter vocal performance than the release version, as this is a guide vocal. We also get alternate second verse lyrics from Freddie, as they hadn't fully worked out the track yet.
Every now and again.
During the breakdown section, we also get Freddie's solo vocals rather than the whole band harmonising, and it is really nice hearing Freddie try to replicate the harmony bits that they would achieve in the final version. We also hear Freddie ad-libbing over the final bit of the song. It's nice hearing an alternate guitar solo from Brian at the end as well, which doesn't feel as grand as the final version. It kind of fits the lighter tone of this version. Then the final bit of this version is just some jamming that ends when Freddie loses it on the piano. I'm not gonna lie, I can't tell where take 4 starts and take 9 begins, so they must have edited between the two seamlessly. Surprisingly, White Queen dated back to the Small era before it was called White Queen, with Brian writing the track whilst he was in college. According to Tim Staffel, back in the late 90s when he was asked about it, Small never played the song though, with this being recorded at Brian's house by himself. Surprisingly, a good amount of the lyrics and melodies are close to the final version.
They cannot see.
And it's nice hearing Brian getting really heavy on the acoustic guitar, which we don't often hear from him. This is a recording that has been rumoured for a while amongst the fan community, so it's great hearing the origins of this track.
Right, this is going to be take 1.
Their cans are too loud.
Someday One Day is just a really beautiful song with Brian on lead vocals. So it's no surprise that the first take of the song is beautiful as well. Take 1 of Someday One Day starts with the band sorting out the audio levels.
It's just you, it's too loud.
No, it's just him. It's just Roy talking so loud.
No, the bass as well.
Too much bass.
Then Freddie jokes about Brian's strings getting old.
We must do this in a few takes because
Come on.
Brian's strings are getting old.
Yeah, my fingers are getting old too.
We then get an intro similar to the final album version with some absolutely angelic ad-libbing from Freddie. It overall seems like a majority of the lyrics weren't worked out during this time, with Freddie ad-libbing over most of the instrumental. I've said this already though, but like Freddie's falsetto on here is just beautiful. I need to just play a few more bits to showcase it. The end of this version has Freddie singing to stop the playing,
I think that's enough.
and the band then have a listen to the tape they just recorded.
Is that a fade out at the end?
Yes.
Yes.
Come and have a listen.
This version overall really makes me wonder what a version of the song with Freddie vocals would sound like. In fact, I've taken Freddie's ad-libs from this track and overlaid them onto the 2026 mix, and I've uploaded it on my second channel, Oh No, if you want to check it out. The Loser in the End is one of the more upbeat tracks on the album, and a great closer to Side White, in my opinion anyway. Some people think it sounds out of place on the album. I think it fits with the theme of Side White, with it beginning with a song about fathers, father to son, and then this is a song about mothers, so I think it works. The first version of the song is way more groovier than the final product, with a faster tempo and a really prominent bass, seemingly played by Roger himself. The lyrics already seem pretty worked out as well, featuring some alternate lines here and there.
Little baby boys run away today. Little baby boys just left home today.
This demo seems much lower quality than the other tracks on the sessions disc, so it seems like this was recorded a good time before the Queen 1 sessions by just Roger, but it's not dated like Brian's demo of As It Began, so I don't know.
Got to be the loser in the end.
We treated to 2 demos of Loser in the End on this sessions disc, this version sounding much closer to the version we would eventually get on the album, but featuring an acoustic guitar rather than Brian's Red Special, supposedly played by Roger again. These two versions are very short though, ranging from 1 to 2 minutes, and the track wouldn't get properly fleshed out till Roger recorded it with the band. So that's side weight of the sessions looked over. Let's see some tracks that could have been included on the box set but weren't. A big missed opportunity for this box set was to include standalone versions of all the tracks that segue into each other, as there are standalone versions of tracks on this album that appear on various releases from the band. On Queen's first EP, released in 1976, White Queen appears in a standalone version, not featuring the segue from Father to Son. Ogre Battle and March of the Black Queen appear standalone on Deep Cuts 1. And Funny How Love Is standalone on a Japan 3-inch CD single of 7 Seas of Right. Especially in the streaming age where album tracks are played out of order, these versions feel kind of needed, and it's a shame that there aren't any 2026 standalone mixes on a disc in the box set. There's also a 10-inch Croydon acetate of Father to Son that was sold on eBay in 2006. It was described as different from the released album version, with a different vocal and a different overall mix, as well as a different ending, but there's no information further than that. I don't even know who it was sold to be honest. So that's it for part 1. If you liked it, please leave a like. If you didn't, please leave a dislike, and I will see you in part 2 for a deep dive into the Side Black tracks.